So that is an example, a fine example of functional training. He's taking what is necessary from that element, or taking that element that is necessary from that training and bringing it to his own home. All right, so today we're going to be talking about dysfunctional functional training. Now, you can look around on social media and you'll see a lot of examples of how to train yourself functionally. Now, a lot of times you'll see athletes doing certain exercises, and you'll see social media influencers saying, if you have an injury here, do this movement, right? Now, all in all, I commend these people. I commend, obviously, athletes for doing their thing and looking out for the general public and maybe helping people out. I also commend those other people, social media influencers, fitness gurus, and all of them that say, try this exercise out. Obviously, we all want to move better. We all want to contribute to this community, and so I appreciate them. But I want us to really think about what is going on here when we're talking about how we're moving. All right, because functional training is a specific type of training that relates to how we move, not only in the gym, more importantly, how you move in everyday life. All right, so if you think about it, when we're looking at these different groups that are trying to teach us how to move our bodies, you have one group that might be athletes. These people obviously are genetically blessed. They train for their whole lives, and obviously their bodies probably are a little bit more malleable. They probably can take a little bit more impact. And you have social media, the fitness gurus or whatnot, and those people may be former athletes, or they may be people that have lost weight and they want to show you how they lost weight or whatnot. Again, no, not to take anything away from them, but we just want to understand where these groups are coming from, what their backgrounds are, and what the information or what biases we may be getting from their information. Everybody has their biases, including myself. So I think at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are, being cautiously aware of what we're absorbing in terms of fitness and wellness information. But now that you're here and you're listening to what I'm saying, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about functional training. So first and foremost, I see a lot of people. It's abnormally large amount of people are doing training on unstable surfaces, doing things like training on a BOSU or training on a slack line, or doing stuff that is not necessarily relatable to your everyday life. And let's talk about why it's not relatable. See, with a BOSU or slackline or anything like that is unstable, it doesn't really replicate what you're doing in everyday life. There's no time, whether you're an athlete or not, where you're going to be walking along and all of a sudden a sinkhole or a quicksand pops up. Now, obviously, there's cases where you might where you might encounter like ice or something like that, but there's no time when you're actually walking around on ice where you need to perform a lunge, right? You don't need to lunge on ice. You need to be able to stabilize your body on ice, and then from there, you need to be able to get off of the ice. You're not doing lunges. You're not doing anything special on this unstable surface. You're literally encountering it, trying to stabilize yourself on it, and trying to get off of it, right? But at the end of the day, there's not that many times where that happens. So it's probably the benefits of time, the time benefit, like you have this benefit, you have this time you dedicate to it. How much is that going to be worth? It might be just better to be an overall better mover. It may be better to be overall understanding of what your body needs for that specific environment. Which brings me to somebody that is very special. I actually read this article not too long ago, and I thought it was amazing. His name is Matt Stutzman. He was a gold medal winner in the previous Paralympics. He was a great American Olympian, but he did it in an unorthodox way. Obviously, he's a Paralympian, so he didn't do it how we normally would think about people doing it. He got I think it was three bullseyes. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he shot them not with his hands, but with his feet. Yes, he doesn't have arms, so he shot them with his feet. Now, here's the thing. I mean, that's unorthodox in itself. You probably wouldn't follow his training methods, but to think about shooting bullseyes with your feet is tough. But his training is even tougher. Now, you may think that he's doing stuff on 1 foot, or doing stuff that is going to put him in strange positions or whatnot. But what he does to actually replicate the adrenaline that is necessary for his training or for his competitions is that he sets up targets around things that he loves. In fact, he was talking in one of his training events that he shoots his bow and arrow through the house and hits a target that is right next to his sports car. So maybe he's not obviously able to replicate going to the Olympics and shooting a bow and arrow or whatever, archery. He's not actually able to replicate that specifically. He can replicate that internal environment. So that is an example, a fine example of functional training. He's taking what is necessary from that element, or taking that element that is necessary from that training and bringing it to his own home, right? So at the end of the day, what we're really saying here is there's a lot of ways to move your body. There's a lot of ways to consider yourself doing functional training. But one thing you really want to consider when it comes to functional training is that when we're talking about functional training, you don't want to train a specific body part. You don't want to think about this is not moving properly, so I want to train this body part, because that's not how the body moves. That's not functional. When something is not moving the way you want it to move, then you have to look at the way the system is moving. A lot of times you'll see people that have maybe a hip issue and they're not able to lift their knee. The issue is that not that they need to strengthen their hip. The issue is that they need to strengthen how they move their body, how they stabilize their body to move their hip. Just one more example, like a deep squat. That is something that I know a lot of people mention that when we're talking about stabilities and instabilities. So, for instance, when we're talking about deep squats, a lot of people mention that when you're doing a deep squat, you are actually doing something that our ancestors once did. Now, obviously, we can't go back in time and say, well, this is exactly what our ancestors did, but I can guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, they were less sedentary than we were. I'm positive of that. So that means that they probably, even if they did do deep squats, and even if they had that ability to do deep squats, they likely weren't doing it for as long as most people are practicing to do their deep squats. So while it is maybe something that is functional, something that we can do, we have the ability to do, it's not something that you want to train your body to do more, because that's not the way our body is built. Our body is not adapted to sitting. It's not adapted to deep squatting. It's adapted to moving around on 2 feet. We are bipedal creatures that notoriously, or at least historically, were mobile and not sedentary. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this episode brought you value. If it did, feel free to write down your comments and questions down below in the comment section. Of course, I'd love for you to subscribe, so click on that button down below. It's right over here. Click on that subscribe button down below so that you can be notified when the next episode comes out. Now, I'm sure we're going to be putting a couple videos somewhere around here. I think it's over here, that you can check out. So we'd love for you to obviously click on that next video, because that'll probably take you to something that is also, relatively related to what we're talking about right now. All right, check you later. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep good company.
Wow! I like it. That was cool.
Awesome. Hey, thanks.